It's time for Remodel Revolution. And now, an award-winning contractor with over 40 years experience. Here is Alex Guthrie.
Welcome to another episode of Remodel Revolution. We're coming to you live from the world headquarters of Remodel I tried. It is hump day. We're coming to you from deep in the heart of the great state of Texas. And I'm here with my very good friend, Poonam Patel, who's co-hosting with me again today. Thank you so much for coming, Poonam. As you can tell, I need help. We're going to talk about some current events today, some current stuff. We're going to talk about your home office and how to, Poonam's going to give us tips on how to set up your home office, and particularly if you're doing video conferencing and things like that, you know, what do you have behind you? Some do's and don'ts, and some pretty funny pictures of people that are doing the don't part. And also, we're going to talk a little bit about choosing the right contractor. I have a ongoing thing that I've had for a couple of years with a client where we went in and rebuilt their house after it had been remodeled. We remodeled it, and we called it the Rescue House. So if you go on my YouTube channel, that's Remodel Revolution on YouTube, you will see a video series called The Rescue House. And you might want to do that. It's pretty interesting. And that is where we went into a house that had already been completed. The homeowner had been out of it for 3 years. The contractor left, and I got there. I think the house had been sitting there about a year when I got there. And I had no intention of taking on the project. I did not want it. I just was hired as a consultant. But of course, well, I don't know. Maybe the wife liked my long curly hair. I'm not really sure. But they ended up talking me into actually repairing the home. And I'm glad they did, because it ended up being a great client, wonderful people that were in a lot of distress, which, you know, when you remodel a house, you are under the best of circumstances under stress as the homeowner and the contractor. If you are not, then you must be on vacation. You know, you've been in this situation, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, I live in this space.
Yeah.
The best you can do is be in a mild state of stress.
A mild state of stress. Yeah. I had
a
a client call me one time and say, "This has been so much fun. We thought it was going to be horrible, but you've just made it so much fun." And we did at that point. And I said, "Well, I really appreciate that, but we ain't done." And by the time we were finished, they weren't feeling the same about Alex, but they loved what we did. But you know, we got to the end of it, and I said, I know you're stressed out, but in a few weeks you'll be fine. You just have to kind of get over that. You know, you have to unwind basically from the last 8 or 10 months of work on your house, and it ended up that they did, and of course we ended up fine. But one of the problems that a lot of consumers are having, homeowners that are having work done on their houses, is really understanding how to select the right contractor for them. And this particular homeowner selected a contractor that promotes themselves as sort of a dual contracting service. They do roofs, and then they tell people that they can actually remodel their houses. And this is where they fell horribly short. And I find out in some of these subsequent meetings with attorneys and other people that are now involved that this has been a problem for this company from the get-go. And it's not an unusual problem for any company in any business. You have to focus on what you do best, and you don't get into trouble like this. You focus on what you do best. So don't advertise as doing so many things that you do one thing good and everything else halfway. You need to focus on what you do best. And when you're the consumer, the homeowner, and you're considering hiring one of these companies, you have to do your due diligence. Your due diligence is going to be checking them out thoroughly. Don't just look at Better Business Bureau. Don't look at, Angie's List or wherever it is you find them, Craig's, one of the lists. There's many of them now. You need to talk to some of their past clients. And if you can find it, when you're talking to one of the past clients, ask them how they found them. If they say, yeah, we had a great experience, well, how did you find them? Well, from my neighbor. Can I get their number? See if you can find somebody that they did not give you the name of, and find out exactly what you're getting into. It's a huge investment in your emotions, in your money, obviously, and it can be dangerous. Now, this particular house I was at yesterday, and we have on our YouTube channel as the Rescue House, had been so negligently remodeled that it had actually reached the point of being dangerous structurally in some areas of the house. The homeowner didn't have any idea, because by the time all this started showing up, it had been sheetrocked, it had been covered up. And when I got there, it took my trained eye to look at it and say, you've got a big sag in this ceiling, or this room, this part of this ceiling in this other room is 2 inches out of level, or there's a big bow in a wall. And these are all things that happen. And it happened because the people working on the house had no clue what they were doing. They were not working in their normal capacity of what they do well. If they had stuck with the roof, they'd have been fine. But then they get to the other parts that they just don't know anything about. It ends up, after we talk to people, that there was a huge issue with on-site management from the so-called contractor, and real bad problems with communication between the contractor, the homeowner, and their subs. I mean, the whole thing was a mess from the day one. Not to mention the fact that they completely ignored some of the engineer specifications. I looked at them yesterday in this meeting, and I said, I have no idea how you ever got the city to give you a green tag on this work. I don't know what it is you showed them, but it wasn't what that plan was. So you have to be careful when you're investing so much money into the largest investment in your life, which for most people is their home. You have to really, don't just go, well, that's the best price and I really like that person, so I'm going to hire them, they must be good. You need to do some research on them. So have you run into problems like this?
Absolutely. It saddens me when I see things like this happening, because like Alex said, most homeowners, this is the most expensive thing that they own, and to trust it in the hands of someone else is a very frightening experience. I've had this very same thing happen to me, where the client had a contractor who had helped him out on some of his investment properties, and insisted that that same contractor work on the renovation of his own home. And my structural engineer has, I've been working with him for years, and I trust him. I like, know, and trust him. And, he had indicated to put a post on an opening. And when I went to the job site, I noticed that there was a triple pack, which is a set of 3 studs, which has 25% of the strength necessary to hold that load, And so I had called it out. I flagged it. I said, hey, this is not according to the drawings. The drawings are essentially a legal set of drawings that construction needs to adhere to. And when I see a discrepancy, a difference between what's being built and what's on the drawings, I'm going to raise a flag. So I showed up to the job site the next time. It still wasn't fixed. I called it out. The 3rd time, it still wasn't fixed. Guess what? The 4th time, just like Alex said, it was covered with chipboard. So I got on my hands and knees, and I took the rubble out from underneath the chipboard, and I saw 3 clear lines indicating that there were the 3 studs were still there, as opposed to one solid green tinted piece of wood. The green tint means it's treated for termite. And so what I had to have a serious conversation. I pulled my client aside and I said, hey, would you like for me to draft up a document releasing me and my structural engineer of any liability should this fail? Should this 2-story condo fail in any way? And that's when they understood the magnitude of how important it is to put that post there.
Well, because they're putting their trust into the person that they hired to build it. You know,
Yes.
And I expect you to. When you hire me, I expect you to trust everything I tell you. And I'm not saying I'm infallible. I'm certainly not. We make plenty of mistakes, and we're depending on other people. So people make mistakes. People do dumb things. But you have to be able to respond to that. So the lesson of this short little segment is to do your due diligence and make sure that the people you're hiring that are protecting your investment, protecting your money. And you have to stay on top of it. You can't just leave it to somebody and pretend like it's just going to get done without your involvement as the property owner. Okay, that's that. So Poonam, we have been talking about doing this office segment forever. And finally, here we are doing the office segment for Poonam's Pandemic Projects. Take it away, Poonam Patel.
Well, yeah, so this is a mini-series called Poonam's Pandemic Projects, which the premise is what people can do over the weekend, these short, small projects in their home to really improve the quality of their life while everyone's locked in quarantine. So last week, we had talked about how to make the outdoors of your home an extension of your indoor space so that you can gain more square footage immediately and get some privacy that you need and breaks from your loved ones. Today we're going to talk about home offices. And we've all been on a Zoom call at some point by now during the pandemic. And I wanted to basically show you an image of one of the Zoom calls. And you'll see a variety of characters. And so we need to improve the background of your Zoom calls. So if you look at the two that are circled in pink, you know who you are. You don't want to be that person. So lighting in your home office is so important. It's extremely critical that the people that you're speaking to can see your face, see your facial expressions, and truly understand where you're coming from, because it really matters.
And the other thing is this. A lot of times when particularly if you're new to this medium, you look at the camera and you go, well, I look awful. You know, I don't ever want to do this again. I scare me. Well, part of the problem is lighting. A lot of people just don't realize the difference of lighting. The studio lighting. Look, I look like I'm 25 again.
You look great.
No, but the lighting really is critical, like Poonam says, and it's not only just having good lighting. It's where you have the good lighting, where you place it.
Agreed. Absolutely.
You want it to be in front of you, not behind you.
Yeah. So one of the something that's a really quick fix for lighting is if you have a window, just open the curtains and make sure that you're facing the window. Another quick fix is to replace. Most offices have just one ceiling light, so you can replace that ceiling light with a track lighting to increase the amount of light in your room, or you can even do a little bit fancier light if you didn't want to do track lighting like this fixture. Fairly inexpensive. You can get it at Lowe's. You can shop online. You could get something from anywhere from $60 all the way up to you could spend however much you want on lighting. So lighting is so important. I can't stress that enough.
And it's like if you have just overhead lighting and it's fluorescent, for instance, that's a human picture killer. I mean, it's like it makes you look like you just got out of the coffin.
You want to use
awful.
LED, and you want to look for on the box specifically for 4,000 kelvins. 4,000 kelvins means it's not a yellow tinted light and it's not a blue tinted light. It's natural daylight. So you can see the true colors of what it actually is. So lighting is so important. Guys, please don't make it seem like you're on Unsolved Mysteries or about to get murdered in the back. I mean, it just looks so creepy. And then if you wanted to do some more...
We're going to take, before we go to the next one, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I'm behind 2 minutes. We need to take a quick break. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, more of Poonam's pandemic projects in your office.
The hardest working and arguably most important system in our homes is our air conditioning and heating system. It heats the air, it cools the air, and it filters the air. That's why it's so critical to have it checked and maintained by the very best professionals available. It's time to contact Total Air and Heat at totalair.com. Get that system pruned and tuned. If you want to have the very best experience, you've got to hire the very best company. Total Air's employees are honest, well-trained, and thoroughly background checked. I never have to worry about sending their technicians out to my clients' homes. Family owned and operated for 3 generations, Total Air and Heat has been a fixture in North Dallas for over 60 years. Total Air is a proud dealer of the Trane air conditioning systems, and you know how hard it is to stop a Trane, so give them a call at 972-881-0020. That's 972-881-0020, or contact them at totalair.com today.
Home offices have become the new high-rise offices of since our pandemic. We're all working, a lot of people are working from home. Gosh, all you have to do is go drive around the traffic about 9 o'clock in the morning when you're usually sitting, and for most places now you can actually go the speed limit. It's a miracle. So Poonam J. Patel of Urban Loop Studio has put together for us some tips on home offices, and we've been talking about lighting. Where are we going now?
So there's a lot about lighting. I had just shared 2 quick tips, which is to open the blinds and to replace your light fixture to expandable or track lighting. If you want to learn more, hop on YouTube. There's a wonderful video by Hot and Flashy. It's called How to Look Good on Video Calls for Zoom. She does an amazing job to really walk you through and hold your hand through the whole process. So you don't want to be that guy on that Zoom call that we were making fun of earlier. Also, too, you want to take advantage of your background. A lot of people, you're able to see the clutter or how unorganized it is. But then there's some people who do a really good job of taking advantage of your background. Some people put a vision board or pictures of where they've been traveling. One of the channels on YouTube that I follow is Women of Impact, and she has superwoman statues in the background. And the reason why this is so important is because, as we've all experienced at some point on Zoom calls, you don't start the meeting straight away. There's usually this lag of people trickling in a minute later, or somebody can't get their mic on, and 20 minutes later, you're still just sitting there. And I think it's really important to take advantage of these moments and network and socialize with these people, because we're in quarantine and a lot of people are not getting that social interaction. So take advantage of that moment and give people opportunities to connect with you by using your backdrop as a conversation piece, as an icebreaker.
Well, also you can really impress people with that. I mean, you can have your degrees up there. I know you've got like a wall full of them. But you could have degrees up there. You could have awards you've won. There's all kinds of cool things. I've got a moose with a hat on and a fishing pole. And I'm going to tell you, on my Zoom calls with my fishing buddies, they're impressed. She doesn't know how to react to that.
My background is the white wall with taxidermy, which is like an animal head, but it's fake because it's a unicorn head. So it's a white unicorn and a gold.
So, are there some lollipops in there with it? Unicorns and lollipops, they go together.
I should probably add some to my desk. So yeah, background is very important. Take advantage of it. Take advantage of the silence moment, and through design and decor, really spruce up the space. It could be a trophy, it could be an award, or like Alex mentioned, some degrees, and just make it look really nice. And if you can't, you can always hire someone like Closets by Design. They can help you create a really nice desk. I have an image of one of their projects that I pulled off of their website. You can always call them and toss around some ideas, and they can put something together for you, and do it for you basically. So
and a lot of that has to do with space planning, because when you're going to start officing out of your house, it's always a question of how big can my office be and where can it be? Because a lot of times you're sacrificing all or part of a room. Maybe you have a spare bedroom, maybe one of the kids has moved out, or maybe you have a big giant master closet and you want to put it in there. We've put them in all kinds of places. Kitchens. We're now planning kitchens that have integrated desks and things like it looks like regular kitchen cabinets. You open the door and there's actually a printer and a Wi-Fi thing in there, and you pull out and you've got a keyboard. It's actually a desk built into the island of the kitchen. I did one of those recently. It's very cool, very good idea. So there's a lot of space planning with a home office. Where are you going to put it?
Yeah, absolutely. That's one of the most common things that clients stress and emphasize that they need in their home, which is a little bit of office space, but then the ability to conceal the mess whenever they need to. And there's so many different design ideas for that. If you do a quick search on Pinterest or Houzz, you can get some good ideas. What I also wanted to chat with you about is sitting at a desk is not healthy. And so what I wanted to share with you is, and encourage you to invest in, is a sit-to-stand desk. So you can sit whenever you need to and stand whenever you need to. They have them as some for around $200. Costco has some, and they can go all the way up to $800, but they're very, very well worth it. There's another attachment that you can get to that, which is kind of like, not a treadmill, but what's it called? The bike version of that?
Yeah.
So you can get some exercise in, get your circulation and blood flow going, and you can see in this image, she is facing the window, so the light's shining on her face. She's got the sit-to-stand desk, and she's got, a really good setup. And you can see in the corner she has a little bit of storage. Probably not the best background for her Zoom calls. She might want to give me a call.
Post-it notes.
She might want to give me a call.
I have a friend that has that exact setup, and since the pandemic started, he has lost 48 pounds. He told me he's our videographer, and he just sits at his desk and exercises. Of course, he's crazy. He's out of his mind, but he lost 48 pounds.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
He'll love me telling everybody he's out of his mind, incidentally.
One of the things that I'm hearing a lot during the pandemic is people gaining a lot of weight. What did they call it? The pandemic 16 or 15?
15? Someone's only gained 15?
So the image that just flashed up earlier, you can see, for $250, you can get something that will really help keep you in shape and not feel, it'll just
feel like a blob.
Feel like a blob, yeah.
A worthless blob, yes. A couch potato.
And the last tip that I have for you guys for the office design is to invest in storage. So a messy desk is just an expression, a mirror reflection of what's going on in your head. So it's really hard for some people to work when everything's so messy. So if you just get a really good storage unit from, if you get the ones that you have to build by yourself from Target or IKEA, they're fairly inexpensive. If you wanted to go higher end, you're welcome to. But to get some good storage to help declutter your desk really helps you feel at ease, calm, peace. And that, in combination with the good lighting and the sit-to-stand desk, I think will all benefit your experience working from home while in quarantine. And that's it for Poonam's Pandemic Projects.
Wow, that was awesome. Thank you. Thank you. I guess I'm going to have to revisit my mess. I guess the moose goes. I'm just kidding. I don't really have a moose. I have a black bass. And I get a lot of good comments. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about tips on reading plans. I asked Poonam about her thoughts on talking to her clients about how to read plans, and it can get confusing. There's a lot of ground to cover with this. So we'll take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Imagine this, a totally customized, organized, and beautiful master closet. A home office that fits right into a perfect space. A pantry designed specifically for your storage needs. Imagine your home totally organized. It's time to call the design professionals at Closets by Design DFW and turn your dreams into a reality. With a design staff over 30 strong, Closets by Design works directly with you to create your dream space, and they build it locally, helping support the DFW community. Check them out at dallas.closetsbydesign.com or call them at 972-361-0010. Use the promo code RRV to find out about the amazing specials and discounts available. That's dallas.closetsbydesign.com or call them at 972-361-0010, and don't forget that promo code RRV. Closets by Design.
One of the first things that I will tell you as a contractor about to remodel your house or build you a new house is that you have to have a plan. A plan going, and there's several phases of plan. So you'll have a rough plan where you may sit down with the architect and they do a hand-drawn plan, and then it moves on to a printed plan, and then it moves on to a final plan or a build plan. I asked Poonam to spend some time with us today on some tricks to reading plans. A lot of times when I talk to my clients, particularly at the beginning of the job, they look at the plan and they just glaze over, and I don't blame them, because there's a lot of information on that little piece of paper in front of you that if you're not used to looking at, you can just sort of, it's just kind of like, pardon the phrase, but Chinese arithmetic. You just kind of look at it and go, what in the world is that little line for? And Poonam, why don't you talk to us about these phases of these plans?
Absolutely. The floor plans, it's like Alex said, it's learning a different language, a spatial language of pictures and symbols and graphs. And the reason why that came to be is because a home is so big and we need to make sure it fits on a piece of paper. So how can we do that, right? So plans are the solution. And most people don't know this, but there are different kinds of floor plans based on the use. Sometimes you need a set of plans to send to the bank to get a loan. Sometimes you need a set of plans that need to go to the city for permit, and the information that they're looking for is different than what other people might be looking for. So the city wants to know that, smoke detectors, carbon monoxide, egress, and all of that's considered. And then there's another set of plans that are for pricing, which have dimensions on them and quantities and some specifications.
So let's get a little more into that, because I think that that's really important. I have to explain this to people a lot. And so what Poonam's saying is that the first thing that we'll do often is we'll just have like a freehand sketch. So the architect or designer will do a freehand sketch, and different people do it different ways. Sometimes if you have an existing set of plans for a house you're going to remodel, maybe every now and then we get lucky and there's the old plans. We'll take a piece of, what do you call the vellum?
Trace paper.
The trace paper, and they'll trace the room on that trace paper, and then they'll add the elements they're going to change and lay the things out. But that's not a plan. That's a
sketch.
It's a sketch. Yeah. It's just it's an idea. It's sort of how to work through, yeah, that sounds great, or no, I don't want that, or I really like that window, or no, I want that door bigger, or whatever it is. And then you'll get with a designer and they'll say, okay, we'll make the door bigger, but how are we going to lay the furniture out? I mean, this is just sort of the early planning phase of how to go to the next step, which you're talking about is the set that I initially would get, which is the pricing set. Mm-hmm. What's it got?
So the pricing set is predominantly to generate a budget or an estimate. And so the contractor would need to know quantities, they would need to know linear feet, square footage, the size of things, where it's located, and all them for them to take each picture and each quantity and put it as a line item on an Excel sheet. So that's for pricing. And then a final construction set is analogously speaking similar to a recipe when you're baking. So you need to know what you're putting in there, you need to know the quantities, you need to know where it's going, the timing, all of that. And so it's really important from a client perspective, you need to know which kind of plan you want and the extensive level of detail. So zooming out, when you're trying to hire a designer or an architect, you want to ask what is their end product? Some people, believe it or not today, still provide hand-drawn floor plans as the final product. And for me, that's not acceptable. Not acceptable because there are a lot of errors, opportunities for errors. There's lack of efficiency, lack of clarity, and that is a recipe for a disaster. And so for me, I encourage hand drawings, but only in the beginning. The second kind of plan that you can request from a designer or architect is from a 2D software program like AutoCAD. And
it's two-dimensional.
Two-dimensional.
So you're just looking down on you're looking at a bird's eye view.
Yeah. So a floor plan, like if you imagine an apple and sliced it on the bottom and you're looking down, that's what a floor plan is. And so a 2D AutoCAD plan is basically a hand sketch, but you have the opportunity to be more accurate with the dimensions and the sizing. But what I want clients to realize and ask for and even demand are 3D floor plans because they're the most accurate, most efficient, and you really don't have to worry about how to read a floor plan because it's in 3D, and guess what, even 4D. So this is a 3D floor plan that I show my clients, so there is less opportunity of misunderstanding between what I'm envisioning and what the client is expecting.
Well, and a lot of it is about how well you can visualize. But now you and I look at these things every day, so we don't need a whole lot. We get it. But for somebody that doesn't, that 3D is just such an incredible improvement over what we used to have. And because it's all computer generated, it's like click, click, done. I mean, it's super amazing. But there's one more phase of plans that I really like, and that's the BIM.
Yes, BIM.
Yeah. Let's talk about the BIM plans.
Yeah, so BIM stands for Building Information Modeling. So what that is you're not just drawing a line with the pencil, you're not just drawing a line in the computer, you're actually intelligently drawing a wall and all the layers that go in the wall, from the stud to the chipboard on the inside, and then on the exterior you have all the layers, the vapor barrier, the sheathing, and whatever exterior material you're choosing, including air gap, brick, etc. And so on this plan, for example, if you look at the exterior wall, you'll see many different lines on there indicating the thickness, and you can see the poche. Poche is kind of how the pattern, how it's shaded and colored to show the clarity of the different layers within the wall. I know I'm getting a little bit too technical.
So
I'm
for the
zoom out.
homeowner, what does a homeowner need to know about a BIM plan? How does it help them?
You need to ask for it because it's extremely beneficial. How does it benefit you? The plans are more accurate. You have the ability to understand what you're getting because of the 3D. It's less error when calculating square footage and quantities, which means your pricing is more accurate compared to the previous two versions of hand drawing in AutoCAD. And you even get to do 4D animation, which will pop one up on the screen for you. I did for, it's confidential, but I'll just show it to you real quick. You have the ability to actually create a video of what it looks like. So there's no
That's
doubt.
just so cool.
Thank you. So you have there's no opportunity. I don't want to be so black and white in my communication, but there's less error in understanding. And so by doing this, you have the ability the clients have an ability to trust you better, that you know what you're doing, that they know what they're getting, they know what they're paying for.
Well, and you've thought out all these details. So some of the things that come up in plan, some of the things that you run into when the clients looked at the plan, we've all decided how we're going to do. Let's say we're doing a kitchen and we have an island, and they look at the plan and they go, wow, that's awesome. It's cool. Well, we're going to have this in the island, that in the island. And then you get the kitchen built, and the first thing they say is, I didn't realize that was so close to the cabinets. I really would have liked it if I had another 6 inches to walk by. Well, that's what that plan does for you. If you go through that process, then you've already worked all that out. That's the whole point of this. So we can say to you, as the designer or the contractor, I can say to you, well, 40 inches is, pretty standard and enough that you can pull the dishwasher door down between the island and the cabinet. But then you may look at it as a homeowner and go, yeah, but I want to be able to, do a square dance in that space. I need 48 inches. And you go, okay, so that's the whole, the thing about looking at plans when you're the homeowner or the person that has to live with that plan is you have the ability to go through that process of analyzing. It's actually just a space, analyzing the space. So you just take a square and you insert things that are going to be in that square. How's the furniture going to lay out? How are the cabinets going to lay out? Where the windows go on the doors? All those things. And the last model, the 4D, do it. Because that really makes a difference. But one of the things that a good designer does, whether it's an architect or a designer, is they will actually do like a furniture plan. They might show people in it. It'll give you perspective of space.
Absolutely. Using BIM and requesting that of your designer is paramount. I'll give you an example of an experience that I had with the client, which was, we designed a standard product nook in the shower, but I didn't realize that the client likes to shop at Costco and likes to get the giant bottles of shampoo. And so because of that 3D rendering, she was able to see that and communicate to me, hey, my bottles of shampoo are taller. My product nook needs to be taller.
Very interesting.
So you minimize that effect of the client feeling like, oh, they didn't get what they really wanted.
Well, and having to revisit everything. I mean, if you're going to have the conversation about it, it's a productive conversation like that. It's like, I need bigger bottle. That comes up a lot, actually.
Yeah.
What you have to understand, and a lot of what we do in building and remodeling has become sort of off-the-shelf type thing. Like, for instance, Poonam was talking about a shower insert. We called it a shower insert or shampoo insert. It's just a little box they put in there and they tile around it. That's a standard thing. I don't know who came up with the sizes of them or the standard sizes, but like she said, some people shop at Costco and they get the Magnum, the Magnum shampoo. Now, I use soap. I'm trying to help the environment. I don't have to worry about that. I'm a lucky dude. Anyway, thank you so much. That was really helpful. Hopefully that'll help somebody watching that's planning a project on their house. And thank you so much for your home office recommendations. That was really awesome as well. So next week, we're going to do another Poonam's Pandemic Project segment. And we're going to have a good friend of mine on, Matt Mitchell. He's a builder in Dallas, and he's also about to become a vacationing builder because he's about to become the president of the Dallas Builders Association, which means you have to take about a year off, Matt. Enjoy it. And we're looking forward to that show. It's going to be really a lot of fun. And I hope everybody has a great week. Say goodbye, Poonam.
Bye. See you next week.
Yeah. Well, hope everybody has a great week. We'll be back next week, same time, same channel. Don't miss it.
The views and opinions of this program are for educational and entertainment purposes only and are not intended to replace the recommendations of a hired professional. You can catch Remodel Revolution anytime. Follow the show on the website, remodelrevolutionradio.com, or on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest, using the handle @Remodel Revolution Radio. You can always listen to the show on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, and TuneIn, and watch the show anytime on YouTube.